Hey everyone, Jay Whitner here with Space Headlines. We do a weekly recap of what's going on in the space universe, and today we're going to be talking about the second week of October 2018. Our first item is the Hubble Space Telescope. Hubble has lost one of the gyros. The telescope originally had 6 operational gyros that were all working well at the last servicing mission that was now 9 years ago. And over the years between, some of the gyros have failed. So this failure put the telescope into a safe mode. So where we are now is that 3 of the gyros have failed, and Hubble can operate with as little as 1 gyro, but it's not the full operational mode. So we'll have to monitor this situation, because right now we don't have a facility to service the Hubble Space Telescope anymore. This was all done via the Space Shuttle in the past. Richard Branson, again, in the news with big announcements. What he said is that Virgin Galactic is going to reach space within weeks. I don't think he specified exactly when in his remarks to the press, but I guess the assumption here would be October, November, maybe early December, something like that. So that's the idea. And he also said that he is going to personally fly within months. Last I heard, Virgin had about 800 people with deposits down for the suborbital flights on Virgin Galactic. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully everything goes really well, and we're excited to see it happen. There was a failed rocket launch sponsored by the Russians. This was a Soyuz operation, and 2 people were aboard. The rocket launched. There was a malfunction. It happened when the separation was happening between the boosters and the core. So they basically sort of ejected the crew module, and the astronaut and the cosmonaut, there were 2 people on board, both survived the experience. They took a lot of G's through it, but they're okay. But this puts us in an interesting situation, because they didn't reach the space station. And we're going to have to see how this impacts the crew rotations and keeping ISS fully crewed. Speaking of that, this is a headline from the next day about what was going on. But the situation is that the U.S. commercial crew program is not ready, and won't be ready until mid-next year if everything goes smoothly, maybe later. And so we are still at the need to have the Soviet capability, because right now, until Soyuz flies again, we can't take anybody up to the space station. And there's a very small crew aboard right now, only 3 people. So if we bring those 3 people down, the space station would be unoccupied for the first time in almost 20 years. And there's a situation that the Soyuz vehicle that does the crew transfers sort of doubles as a lifeboat. It has a limited amount of lifespan on orbit before systems start to fail. So if the crew is not brought down in a certain amount of time, the risk begins to get much higher to do a reentry on the Soyuz. So people will again be talking about the possibility of running the ISS for a while without a crew, which I am against. It enhances the chances of loss of the station if the crew is not present to respond to the unforeseen. So we'll see how this goes and what the timeline appears to be to get the Soyuz back in operation. The Chandra X-ray telescope has followed Hubble into safe mode. This Chandra telescope it's pretty old. It's almost 20 years old. It's been operating in space, and these things don't have an infinite lifetime. The cause of the failure is not immediately clear what happened, but Chandra went into safe mode. We'll have to see what can be done to get the system operating again. This is one of the grand observatories, of course, with Spitzer, Hubble, and Chandra. So hopefully this will be resolved in the near future. James Morhard has been approved as NASA's Deputy Administrator. This is by a full vote of the Senate. He was approved. It seems like that went fairly smoothly from what I heard about it. And it's interesting that both the administrator and the deputy administrator are not really space guys so much. What they do bring is an understanding of the political system, with the administrator having a lot of experience in the House and the deputy administrator having a lot of experience in the Senate. So I guess I'll be leaning on the experts at NASA for the space things, and they'll be focused on direction, administration, funding, and getting congressional support. So we'll see how this works moving forward. Our last piece for the week comes in the form of a report by NASA's Inspector General. And the report was about the Space Launch System, SLS. And the report was pretty negative. It had harsh things to say about Boeing, and it also criticized the overall program for being late, several years late at least, if the current schedule holds, and way over budget, projected to cost double the budget. So I'm sure this is making some waves in the NASA headquarters in Washington, but this was the opinion of the Inspector General. And we'll see what the reaction is from NASA, and if anything can be done to streamline the SLS program, get things going a little bit more rapidly, and perhaps to get the budget a little bit more under control. But that's our report for the second week of October of 2018. Hope you enjoyed our show, and we'll see you in a week or so with a report on the third week of October. Take care.